with youth-led organization. In our organization, which I lead, we have a platform, a youth and women entrepreneurship platform. And when Ekesa CEO approached me, I said, we need to work together. We need to work together to support each other in terms of this journey, interesting journey. And I appreciated that what Ekesa is doing is very paramount and very innovative in the sense that they are coming up with a grant. We always say there is no free lunch, there is no free money. So this grant is going to be a competitive grant with those young people with innovative and creative ideas. They are the ones that will benefit from the grant. He did mention that the grant ranges from 500 United States dollars to 5,000. It is not little money. Converting into Tanzanian shillings, it gives you a good capital to start a business. So as EABC, what we can do to support you and to leverage on the grants provided by Ekesa is to provide you knowledge and a platform in terms of growing that innovation, growing those ideas. So we always, I'm happy in my team, Zephania, maybe you may stand up for recognition. He's among young and a good entrepreneur, and my staff are responsible for membership. So I think the ground for youth in business has been well leveled. So we need to take this opportunity. As the CEO of Ekesa mentioned, this is the time. This is the time for the youth in Africa. This is the time to chart the path we want in terms of economic transformation of Africa. And when he spoke, and also based on my remarks, I realized that almost 65% of our population across the region, across the continent, are youth within the median age of 19.8 years. So those youth are under the age of 25. And by the mid of the current century, a third of the world's youth population is expected to live on this continent. While other countries or other continents are grappling with an aged population, Africa, we are very lucky that our population is very young, very dynamic, very entrepreneurial. I was looking even the recent reports on global entrepreneurship. You find that generally most of the East African countries are ahead of other countries in terms of entrepreneurial spirits, entrepreneurial business acumen. So that is exciting, and again, on our side, that what we always do and what we always advocate for is for our leaders, our politicians and policymakers, to create the necessary and conducive environment for youth to do business, for youth to thrive, for the youth to drive the growth we want. And as I speak, last week on Thursday, we participated in the African Development Bank. They are launching a report on economic outlook for Africa, but particularly on East Africa. In their report, they highlighted a number of fundamentals, three important fundamentals. One was that despite the devastating impact of COVID-19, the East Africa region is the only region that survived a recession. And I was wondering what was that kind of miracle we did to survive, given the devastating on negative impact of COVID. And the report highlighted important fundamentals. One was that East Africa is a very diverse in region in terms of the use, in terms of the consumption by the youth, to investment in productive infrastructure. Those who have been able to move around Arusha, those who have been able to move around Dar es Salaam, you see the quality of the infrastructure we have. Last week, again, there was a very big summit in Dar es Salaam on human capital development. And what they are saying that in that report, we must ensure, and I'm happy in this room we have the young people, especially those from the schools. They said there's what they call learning poverty, meaning that our young people with the age of 10 years old, they are unable to read and write. It's a challenge. It's a challenge why they cannot read and write. So we need what we are doing in our education level, both primary, secondary, and education. We need to ensure that we provide our youth with the necessary skills that are required. Necessary skills that are required, especially those digital skills. Those digital skills. And our push as EABC has been that we need to lower the cost of internet access. And I'm happy Her Excellency the President Samia is very committed to ensure that every Tanzania and also every East Africa has access to cheap and affordable internet. That's how we will be able to join the current industrial revolution. So there are enormous programs and intervention we've been working on at the East African Business Council. One is to support the agenda, which is well encapsulated under the Africa we want, the agenda called Continental Free Trade Area. It's an agreement that was signed in Kigali in 2018. It is a very exciting agreement. A number of our countries have signed that agreement, and a number of our countries, in East Africa, almost all the East African partner states have signed the agreement. Almost East African countries have ratified the agreement. So we've, out of 8 countries that have been selected to pilot under the CFTA, 3 are coming from East Africa. Tanzania is one of them, Rwanda, Kenya, and end of this month, Uganda will also be joining. So I think our leaders have done a quite commendable work in terms of really ensuring that they put in place a necessary instrument, necessary legal regulatory framework for entrepreneurship to thrive. So we need to leverage and draw those synergies and complementarities. And as you look at the CFTA, it provides enormous opportunities for young entrepreneurs on the continent. As the agreement is clear, it intends to remove tariff and non-tariff barriers to trade, but also provide the necessary framework in terms of the use to do business and be creative. As I mentioned, there are opportunities around the growing digital economy. The digital revolution has radically changed the way people connect and how business can be conducted, especially the trading goods and services across the international markets. One of the protocols that is enshrined under the CFTA is the e-commerce and the digital economy. I'm happy the German GIZ and Afrexim Bank are working closely with the EABC in terms of ensuring that we look at the necessary steps to make e-commerce happen in the region. Here at the EAC, they have negotiated a program with the World Bank called Single Digital Market for East Africa, looking at how we leverage the digital technology to grow our business. So businesses using technology for financial services, known as fintech, are on the rise, offering enormous services such as mobile money. Fintech services make it easier for SMEs to access finance through innovative business models that leverage technology to facilitate trade. While the digital economy is still very nascent in many countries, it has the potential to transform African economies. Recognizing the rise and the importance of the digital economy and e-commerce, African Union heads of state decided in February 2020 to include the CFTA protocol on e-commerce. The continent-wide collaboration will help prevent fragmentation and coordinate initiatives to harmonize the governance and the promotion of e-commerce and digital economy. So there are enormous, as I mentioned, there are enormous opportunities available for the youth. One is the new opportunities in agriculture. I've seen that also looking at the data that a number of youths are engaged into agriculture, agribusiness. They're adding value into agriculture products. Generally, one of the products that was identified here in Tanzania was spices, agriculture produce. Tanzania can be a continental food basket. You have all it requires. And I'm happy during the SADC meeting that was held here in Arusha last month, where our Excellency participated. There was a strong commitment to create what they call incubator schemes for the youth to engage in agriculture. And they have a very ambitious plan and a target to support the youth who are involved in agribusiness. So it is something that we need to be proud of, that our leaders are really steering this initiative to encourage the youth to invest in agriculture and deploy their skills and knowledge with regard to agriculture. There is also enormous benefits in terms of manufacturing. The World Bank does predict that by 2035, the volume of total exports of manufacturing goods will increase by 29%, while intra-African manufacturing trade will climb to 110%. Manufacturing growth will lead to expansion in key areas and the development of new industries, including machinery and equipment and the clothing sector. One of the sector, again, the value chain we highlighted and identified in the EAC has been textile, apparel, and cotton. That sector we should note and we should continue to really shy away from importing second-hand clothes for our region. We have enormous land. We can produce enough textile and garments that are required by our people. So we need really to join hands in terms of promoting that value chain. As I mentioned, there are a number of opportunities. I mentioned agriculture, but also in services. One of the agreements we are concluding has been trading services. And so far, 5 services have been identified. And those services that have been identified, youth can play a cardinal role, especially professional services, telecommunication, transport and logistics, tourism, and travel-related services. Those are the 5 sectors that are under the CFTA we've negotiated. So let me, as I move towards conclusion, let me highlight some of the challenges that the team here, the CEOs here need to reflect on. While there are a number of opportunities, the region has not been very competitive in terms of providing the jobs for the youth. I was looking at some of the issues that we are grappling with is high youth unemployment and underemployment. That is one, because when you look at the current labor market capacity, absorption capacity, every year the continent, the continent produces the graduates up to the 10 million, but the labor market can only absorb around 3.7 million. So there is a big gap that we need to fill, and I'm happy that one way to do that is encouraging the youth to be job creators as opposed to be job seekers, and that is nurturing the youth from the early stage to be entrepreneurs. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're learning, you need to have that skills, entrepreneurship skills. The second has been lack of decent jobs. In addition to high unemployment, African youth have limited opportunities for decent jobs. An overwhelming number of African youth do not have access to jobs that offer them a decent work environment, earnings, and security. In fact, 1/3 of African youth aged 15 to 35 are vulnerably employed, with an insufficient level of formal job opportunities created annually. So there is still a big gap in terms of the required jobs as well as the skills. The third challenge has been the size of SMEs and access to finance for youth-led companies. As I mentioned, I was very excited to hear the CEO saying that they are coming up with a grant. And when you look at almost 70%, or if you ask the youth why they are not in business, one of the challenges they highlight is access to venture capital. I'm happy that EABC will work closely with our brother here to ensure that we we make it easier and negotiate for affordable capital for the youth who are very keen to engage into productive business. The other challenge that I think you've been hearing has been increased migration of youth to look for green pasture in other countries. So the green pasture, my point that the green pasture is not in Europe, it's not in the US, the green pasture is in Africa. We must create an environment and ensure that we encourage our youth to remain here, do business here, and really be excited whatever they are doing within our region. So as we work together, as we debate, as we discuss, let's ensure that we provide necessary information that is required for the youth to do business. We need to improve exchange of information. We need to recognize compliance efforts where the government should be supportive in terms of SMEs proactively to engage in anti-corruption and compliance system. We need to promote a culture of integrity in whatever we are doing. We need to enhance responsible business conduct in infrastructure projects. We need to ensure recognition of responsible businesses and provide rewards for those businesses that have demonstrated compliance and the best practices. We need to join our efforts in terms of supporting all the activities that youth are involved. Finally, as I mentioned, let's strengthen our digital economy. Let's work with youth to address the challenges related to access to internet. Let's deploy our technology. The AI is with us. We need to embrace it in our learning, in our activities. Let's also improve access to finance. Let's engage into business support organization. Let's forge effective partnership. I'm very happy that in this meeting we have good partners. I've mentioned GIZ is very keen to support and promote youth and women in business. We do have a Flexim Bank. They are very keen. They are working closely with EABC to roll out youth and women intervention. Of course, the EAC Secretariat has been a champion in terms of youth and women to be at the forefront of our integration agenda. Finally, we need to link training programs with job placement. My role next week, I'll be even speaking to the graduation of students at Kalisa University in Uganda. The biggest challenge that our universities, our high learning institutions, they provide skills that are not required by the labor market. We need to address skills mismatch. What the universities or